Hey everybody, this is Oliver Joyce from Whiskey Barrel Studios, and I just wanted to do another video today after yesterday's whole sort of Unity breakdown fiasco, come try Godot sort of video. You know the one. I got a bunch of new subscribers, which is awesome. This is a really small channel, and most of it is focused very much on sort of my own dev and swords and sandals stuff. But it's kind of cool to see some new faces here and lots of new comments. Firstly, let me apologize for my appearance. When you work from home and work for yourself, you tend to get a bit scruffy. You're not going to find the whole sort of Thomas brush, Vaseline lens, $1,000 lighting equipment, very immaculate kind of thing. This is the opposite of that. And look, to be honest, most of my videos, if you're subscribed, they're just going to be me talking about my own games. And right now, Gorgon Shield, and in the past I made swords and sandals and so on. And I tend to ramble a bit, so I do apologize for that. But today, I'm not going to talk about Unity. That has been covered ad nauseum, and there are some great videos coming out every day about the unfolding situation there. But what I did want to show you is just a few things in Godot, just a few of my learnings that I've sort of discovered over the last 2.5 years of me working there. This is not a particularly technical video, but I just want to show you a couple of things that you might find interesting if you're just new to Godot, or you're thinking about trying Godot, or that you didn't know about, and a couple of quirks and a couple of cool things. It might go for 5 minutes, it might go for 20. Who knows? That is the beauty of not planning your videos. All right, let's just jump in. Now, I guess first and foremost, if you are sort of new to Godot and you're wondering where to start, obviously the GodotEngine.org website is the place to go. But there's two different major versions at the moment. We have Godot 4.1.1 is this latest stable release, actually up to 4.2 at the moment, which I'm working on, which is the bleeding edge dev build, and the more stable Godot 3.5.2 build. Now, a lot of people are going to go, wow, which one should I use? 3.5.2 is really great build. It actually is a faster build than Godot 4 in a way where it loads up faster. It is more stable. It doesn't crash as much. It's very stable and very mature and perfect for doing your 2D games and so on. My game Swords and Sandals Immortals was made using Godot 3.5.2. And in case you're wondering what I'm talking about, Swords and Sandals Immortals was the game I made over the last 2.5 years. It's doing pretty well on Steam. It came out in March 23, so nearly 6 months ago. But 784 reviews. What's that? 87% positive. But what I wanted to show you, hey, let's check out my game. What I wanted to show you though is have a look at the trailer, and these are all made using Godot 3.5.2, and really good for 2D stuff, character animations, lots of cool particle things like there's rain. The lighting isn't as good as Godot 4, but the UI stuff is all really nice. You find that with Godot 3.5.2, it has a lot more tutorials and so on than Godot 4, but they do translate really well to Godot 4. This is the game I made. It's just a 2D fighting game, turn-based, but I was using animations made in Spriter, which I'll show you in a minute, and then brought over to Godot because it does have its own built-in skeletal thing. But that's enough of that. It's a long game trailer. It goes on for a while, but I actually just jumped over into Spriter Pro, which is an animation tool which I use to make the gladiators in Swords and Sandals Immortals. And this has all the different sort of move the arms. It has different layers for the head and the arms and the legs and that kind of thing. I was able to do a bunch of different animations in Spriter, and if we play that one, that's sort of like the posing one. Heaps of animations. Lightning bolt, and then you save that, and I was able to bring that over to Godot. And once you do that, you can bring it back into Godot. This is Godot 3.5.2, and you can see the animations there. This guy is all cut up. This is a slightly different animation of him. Look at all this. He's got these nasty sort of innards and so on, but I use this one as a clothes source so I could kind of go, different helmets and so on. I could change his helmet like that. It was all done by code, but I used this to sort of cut up where I wanted all the different armor bits to go, and I was able to output this in this little window here, which had the arm guards, boots, and so on. I'm going to show you something kind of weird and quirky, so check this out. using this data down here, I got all the sort of various points for our arms and boots and everything were, put them in this big spreadsheet. Where is it? This one here. And their offset positions. And so basically I was able to use that, export this as a JSON file, and then have all the various armors fit all the different kinds of characters. Weird way of doing it, but what I was trying to say is that Godot supports all sorts of different data structures and so on. This is a big spreadsheet file that I was able to export the spreadsheet data straight into Godot as a JSON file. So you can kind of export data as JSON and it brings it in, and all my armor and weapons and the offset positions, item levels, what item type is it, armor, weapon, everything, bring it into Godot and edit all in here. And that's really a way you can do it. You can use things called resource files in Godot as well, which I'll show you in a minute. Many different ways of doing things, but you can use that. So sorry, we've jumped from like, hey, installing Godot to straight into this. Yeah, quirky is as quirky does. But also check this out. This is my huge translation document for Sword and Sandals Immortals from, the last year, and it has, everything from English, Polish, Spanish, French, Turkish, Chinese, and everything. All the strings for the game are in here, right? And I'm able to edit that, export it as a where is it again? Download as a CSV file, and then you can bring it into Godot. I'm not going to do it now, but I've exported that for fun. But you bring it into Godot, and then you can actually, up here, when you go localization, you bring it in. You only need to do this once for each new language, but then automatically, as soon as you copy the CSV file over to the Godot folder, all your new translations come in. And it's actually really easy to do translations. So if we go to, let's have a look at the title screen. Now, there are many ways to get around and your file structure and everything. I got my own kind of weird way of doing it, which I get used to. But let's say here, if we zoom in on this, look at this quality way of editing. So see here, set text start. By doing this, set text TR for translate, and then whatever the phrase was. So it might have been in the game name here, if you went to level or whatever, that'll show you in English, level, in Polish, poziom, etc. It's probably not spelled like that. But that automatically translates it for you, which is really cool, I think. Sorry, this is a Wild West video. I'm jumping all over the place, but localization is a big part of game dev, and I found Godot is really good for that. It works very well in terms of just put your stuff in a Google Sheet and then edit it there, save the CSV file, copy it over to the folder, and you're done. Any strings that you've translated across all languages will automatically be translated. And you can have custom variables in there as well, and I'll show you how that works. So for instance, if I wanted to go challenge accepted, this string here, percentage S is accepted challenge. Percentage S is really small for you to see on the screen, but that is a little variable string that says change this to a variable in the game. So over here in Godot, I could go, let's say TR for translate, the name of the string, challenge accepted, and then little modulo, and then hang on. And then the name of the string, character string. And then it's done. And then it'll go, Fuzil has accepted your challenge, whatever it is, and translate that to all different languages. So, language translation in a game is one of those things that is really important and really quite, laborious. So you want to put it in from the ground level. This is all my code here in Godot 3.5. A lot of it I was going as I was learning, so please don't stare at this too closely because there are probably way more efficient ways of doing things. But before I got into that, the whole localization string rabbit hole and everything and the character animation stuff, I was going to say, which version should you use? Godot 3.5, completely fine for any game you're building. If you're in a project right now, great stable build. If you're just starting a project now and you want to learn about Godot and your game won't be out for at least a year, definitely start with Godot 4 because it is rebuilt from the ground up. It has a great new lighting engine. It has all sorts of plugins and different ways of doing things, better ways of doing things. It's more unstable. It does crash more. Crashes fairly often, but it's quick to load up again. And the crashes are nowhere near as catastrophic as something like Unreal, where you're loading things for many minutes and compiling for ages. Compiling super fast in Godot, and it loads up fast. So a crash is a minor inconvenience and a bit of a something you just have to deal with when you're dealing with sort of new software like the new version, which has only just come out this year. Godot 3.5 never crashes, but less features. And having said that, I transitioned from Godot 3.5 to Godot 4 really quickly. It did not take me long at all. There's a few things that it's basically renaming of functions and so on. So you go, how do I do this in Godot 4? And it's literally just, this function is now called this, or that kind of thing. Slight differences, but you'll find it is really easy to make that change. Speaking of interesting stuff, we're going to do the rest of the video in Godot 4. I'm on Godot 4.2 right now. And I'm using a custom build, so you can actually do your own custom builds. A little more complicated, and you need to do some command line stuff. I just followed the instructions on the website. It took me a couple of hours of mucking around, but it's now, I'm very confident I can do it each time. And the reason is there are certain modules like the Steam module and the add mob plugin and so on, which you do the custom compiles for. I know going forward, they're going to be making that much easier than it is right now. It's a little bit more of an advanced way to do it. You don't need to do it for most things. You can literally just download the latest executable file of Godot each time, or download it from Git, and then you'll be fine. But when you want to do certain things, the custom build actually compiles it yourself. But we're going to jump over to Godot 4.2 right now. I'm just going to show you a couple of cool things. And here we are inside Godot 4.2, and we're playing my game Gorgon Shield right now. I'm going to use that as the example for things. That's a game, it's a work in progress. I'll talk a bit more about it in a minute. But let's, for example, say UI. UI is a big part of a game engine and something you want to get right because you spend, I reckon, at least half your time inside doing UI. So if we did like a new scene, for example, and then we said, okay, I want to make, let's say, a user interface scene. You can combine these as well. So you can have 2D stuff in 3D and everything on different layers. But like, we've got a new control layer. This thing at the moment takes up the whole screen. I can say, I want this to fill up the whole screen, or I want it to just be anchored to the top left if I want. And that means everything inside the scene is always going to be in the top left of your screen. But I'm going to go set to full screen. I'm going to do something else. Let's say, for example, I want to have some buttons. We're going to create a child node. We're going to go, let's have a VBox container. Everything's case sensitive. I mean, it's all contextual, so you can kind of see the various nodes. This VBox container inherits box container, which inherits container, which inherits control, which is your basic kind of class for all GUI container. Yeah, as it says there, base class. But VBox container is a vertical box container that sits inside this main node. Right now, this is anchored to the top there, but I can say, put this in the middle. Like on a title screen, you're going to have it on the middle, right? And that's going to go there. Let's say, example, we can come back to that in a second. We're going to have a sprite. So we'll go like, you can either have a sprite or a texture rec. They use slightly different things. Pretty technical. We'll put that in the middle as well. Actually, put that in the top middle. Okay, so that's going to top middle, and I'm going to move it down a little bit. So it's going to be on any screen. It's going to be that far from the top. And if I want to have my logo, let's put the game logo medium up here. Drag the texture over. There's our logo. In any game, that's always going to be there, okay? It's always going to be that far from the top. So you already responsive design done. But going back to our VBox container that we made, we're going to have some buttons. I made some buttons earlier called WBS button. This is just a rectangular button. I can drag this up to here, put it inside the VBox. Now that's got a button there. If I want another button, I can duplicate it with Control D, and another, and another. They're all in the vertical box container, and I can move that down. Or if I didn't want that, like that, I can go layout, where is it? Anchor that from the beginning. Oh, there's a way to do it. I can't remember to do it on camera. But what you can do things like, hey, let's have the separation, 20 pixels apart, or minus 20, whatever you like. And those buttons will now be in there. and you can say, how big is this meant to be? Is this meant to be bigger or smaller? You can adjust the width of the VBox buttons. Your containers are really cool. You can have horizontal nodes, vertical nodes, grids, everything you could want, which is really powerful. You can also have things like 9 slice or 9 patch, whatever you want to call it, images. So if I created this sort of book frame here, I can drag that over to here. That creates this little 9 slice thing, which means no matter what, it's going to scale well. So it's an image, just one image that you can see you can scale out. I didn't make this image. It's from an asset pack somewhere. But that's just the texture for it. And you can go, what are the margins for this? How does it stretch? It means 12 pixels in, it changes and so on. Really cool way of creating UI. And that right now is in the front of everything. If I want to move that to the back, just control up, 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 and that's in the back of everything. So already you can see how powerful and easy the UI is to work with, if you know what I mean. You can mask stuff as well. Masks used to be a bit of a pain to work with, but now in Godot 4, it's really easy. So we call this like logo. And for whatever reason, if I decided I wanted to have like the barbarian character in the game, where is his name? So standing sprites, barbarian. Okay, so if I wanted to have this guy, bring him in here, new sprite is the barbarian. Right now he's in front of everyone. We call him Bob the barbarian. He's in front of everything. Fine, fair enough. You can move him behind the logo, whatever. If you can drag him inside that logo container, and where is he? He is. Where's he going? Oh, he's over there. Okay, cool. He's there, right? And he's inside that. But what if I wanted to say mask him somehow? I can go clip contents over here, and that means he's not going to go outside of that box, which is really handy. And there's a way to use sort of custom masks inside that as well, to use the shape of that actual texture, so he'll be inside that as well, which is really powerful. You can use custom shapes for masks and so on, but right now he's trapped inside that, which is really handy to have. So all the stuff I'm showing you is from my game Gorgon Shield, which if you check out on Steam here, shameless plug, Gorgon Shield, yeah, it's a work in progress. I started working on it in May in Godot 4. This will show you off a little bit of what Godot 4 can do. Mixture of 2D and 3D. It's like a sort of, it started off as a simple kind of puzzle game, RPG puzzle game with choose your heroes, different platform colors. The game does not look as saturated as it is at the moment. This is a super saturated trailer. I got to fix up this, and I'll show you in game how much better it looks since this trailer. But it's actually turned into something way more in terms of, it's going to be a dungeon crawler, it's going to be a side scroller, it's going to be a top down, there's going to be a Vampire Survivors style component. This is almost like a weirdly single player Mario Party dungeon romp. It's so hard to describe this. Honestly, I can't describe it. But what I'm showing you right now is what I've built in the last few months, which is literally just the one elevator section of the game, all done in Godot 4, and I'm learning as I go. But if you like this game, please give it a wish list. I'd super appreciate it. You can wish list it on Steam under Gorgon Shield. Gorgon Shield. Which reminds me, I really need to update that trailer because it's looking a lot more streamlined. I'm going to show you about this environmental effects in Godot in a minute, and you can see everything has got this blue and sort of gray tint to it now by design. Let's quickly go into the game, create our barbarians, but Godot has really nice controls over the sort of the colorization and so on. This is what the game is supposed to look like now. See how it's much smoother and less saturated, but there is actual real-time shadows there behind me there. That's a real-time shadow, and as I said in the last video, you can control the camera and everything you could want. Super powerful stuff. Anyway, enough about Gorgon Shield for now. I wanted to show you the environmental node, and this is a cinematic preview of the title screen, as you can see here. You got this environment node, which basically sets kind of like how your game looks, really, and you can change that per scene, whatever. I've got a custom Godot Sky plugin, which is really cool. You can change the time of day over here. Nice stars and things. I didn't create that, but I'm I've edited it and tweaked it, which is really cool. Reset that as to what it was. You can change the clouds to static, dynamic, all built in. It's really cool. It's all possible. Moon shadow, all that sort of stuff. But what you've also got here, everything you have ambient light, background color. That's not going to work on this one because I've got some other things. But let's say if we wanted to change things like how does the tone map look, which is sort of changes sort of, actually I don't even know. Look at this. Slight change. This will, for those film buffs and so on, you can kind of see, you can change how much exposure there is. White balance. You can really create quite a lot of fidelity. SSR, which is a different screen space reflections. You can turn them on and off. You'll need a good GPU for this kind of stuff, but I have seen some fantastic looking games, demos and things using screen space reflections. Screen space ambient occlusion, darkens object corners and so on. I haven't got that enabled, but I could turn it on. My models are simple, so they're not going to be used. SDFGI, what does that stand for? I never know. Sign distance field goal illumination. So yeah, I've got that on. If I take it off, see how much nicer that looks? And you've got all these different things like occlusion, read the skylights or not. Without the skylights, it doesn't get affected by the time of day, that kind of stuff. How much bounce feedback. Up here, up in the corner, the forward plus, you can change that to mobile or compatibility. So if you want to run your game for a mobile device, it'll sort of turn a lot of these things off, but really handy to know. Glow on or off, put that back on. You've got things like fog, volumetric fog, all possible. I've turned it off for the tile screen, but I've actually got volumetric fog in the game just underneath the tower, the shield bit. There's a black fog. What I also wanted to show you though is, are the adjustments on or not? Interesting. If we turn them on, check this out. That changes the color with, you got another way to change the brightness and so on. But this color correction thing, you can change the look and feel of a scene just with this gradient here. So if I change that to like, say green, poisony thing, and then that one to like, see how that automatically, everything is a filter over the top. It's going to look really interesting. Yeah, awful. We're not going to go with that one, but you can really define a whole sort of palette for your game just by doing that. I turn that off for now, but I did use that inside the game. You can also set special camera attributes and so on. So the environment 3D, the environment node is really, really powerful and allows you to really change the fidelity of your games. And one last thing I just want to show you, because this video is going on a bit, is just a few things about how sort of Godot works inside the editor, which is really cool. A lot of people don't know this, but you can add a little access as your unique name here. This says revoke now because I've actually done it, but like if I wanted to make this a unique name, access as unique name, and then when I'm in this scene, I can go, anytime I want to access the labyrinth or the dungeon blocks, I can just go string modulo dungeon blocks. Oh, every time I do the shift, it changes my Streamlabs. Anyway, yeah, you can set that and reference dungeon blocks from anywhere in your script, which is really handy to have. Here we have the different nodes. My things are inside the nodes. That's the 3D mode. That's the 2D. What I wanted to show you is it all works together, right? And you have different layers. You can put your 3D layer over the top. If we're in the game scene here, that's all my UI for my characters. It's all in the UI layer. You can set a layer for that. It says this is above everything else if you want. Everything inside this is 2D. But above that, I also have, and I brought this in by code here. You don't have to do this, but you can say game world equals load elevator world 3D. And that loads a 3D scene into add child, literally into the common node there. And that way you have your 2D and 3D working seamlessly inside this game scene. I've got a settings layer with the settings menu and so on. Animation player in that you can bring in, showed a little save icon if I wanted to. Where is that? Does that come up? Oh yeah, little shows that when it's saving. I have the shaders layer. I have a CRT shader if I wanted to put that on, and that puts this blurry filter just by having a shader. Literally, the shader was just a material down here, CRT shader. Bam! Someone made that. Awesome job, and I brought it in. Literally, I did no work for that. Just tweaked some variables. which is awesome. And this game scene actually inherits another scene. So I've got a base scene here. And inside this, I got my common nodes like a timer, basic animation player, the UI layer for like things like pop-up boxes. If I wanted to have like, that's hidden behind the settings layer. So if I had a pop-up box here, this is a little thing like, text boxes and things like that. I've got my blur layer if I wanted to blur things. Every node, every scene I have inherits that one. And then the game scene has a few extra classes in it, or classes, has extra functions and so on, like the environment variable and that kind of stuff. And this elevator scene and the labyrinth scene inherit that, which is kind of cool. But what I've been working on this week is this sort of like, I'm doing like a dungeon crawler section for, but what I've been working on this week is like a dungeon crawler section for Gorgon Shield. And it's basically like, if you remember Gauntlet 2, kind of similar to that. Run around, get treasure, super simple, procedurally generated mazes and so on. It represents a small component of the game, but I'm going to show you how I'm actually generating these mazes. And it's really simple. I'm only about a day into it, but I'm already pretty impressed with what it can do. So we've got a 3D world here, and I've got a tile map in there that I'm using to create the tiles themselves. We'll jump into that scene. Check out this map generator tool, right? This is an editor tool that I've created. And over here, I've made these. I can generate a map, save map, reset map. So if I go like this is just the simple tile set here using this tile map down the bottom. That's from Gauntlet. I didn't make that. That's literally from Gauntlet. But you can edit that tile set, literally bring in a PNG file. There's your tile set. No problem at all. The new tile map editor is awesome. But this map generator tool, click it from the editor, generate map. Bam, random map. Really simple. It doesn't have much going on at the moment, but we have an enter here and an exit and enter, an entry and an exit here. And I've just said, keep those apart, so they're always far apart. And it's generating some walls and so on. Later today, I'm going to be adding all sorts of things like treasure, proper rooms, keys, maps, that kind of thing. But what's cool about this is a tool in the editor. So all I had to do is say at tool up the top here, makes it a tool. And there's a little plugin I use called Project. Where is it? I only got it yesterday. Auto load plugins, tool button plugin, and that allows you to put plugins into the tool. You can already go like flags and all sorts of different things. But if you want a button, literally just go, add a button, generate map. What color is the button? You can do all sorts of other cool stuff like that. But then that says generate map. Get parent generate. That's even a clunky way of doing it. That just says to this class, you make a map. Inside here, here's our map tool. Literally here, an array within an array. And then this generates a 2D tile map. The game's not 2D, but the tile map is. And I can generate these maps. I'm going to output them as an array, and then I'm going to bring it into a 3D dungeon crawler. So I'll just quickly show you. I wanted to show you it running in game, but I've busted it yesterday, so I can't actually show you the characters running on the 3D map. But what I can show you is this cool little custom level block thing that I found. You can basically have your sprite, your texture sheet there, and you can go, what does the north face look like? East face, south face. You can make these blocks, and then bring in your tile map, and then there you go. There's your 3D world made up of blocks, and they'll all be based on what's in this tile map. So what you see here, I'll be able to paste here in a 3D world, duplicate it, have, however many of them, runs really fast, no problem at all, and then it just works, which is awesome. Like this is basically how it looks in game. That's just a screen capture I got of it before I broke it yesterday. And this is the orthographic camera. So if you wanted to full straight on top down 2D look, but in 3D and 2.5D, you can do that. That's with the blocks in there. And this would be with like some day lighting, because you're in a tower, so there's going to be light streaming through the windows. But you can see there, 2.5D completely possible. I could go on for hours, me. I really could. That's just a few of the cool things that I've found in Godot, just in my my journey through it so far. There's a lot it can do. There's a few weird quirks you'll find out as you go. It's not Unity. It's very different to Unity. It does some things better, some things worse. It's going to get better. You can be guaranteed that the Godot 4 you see now is just the beginning of something, I think, pretty major. A big explosion in what's going to happen with all these new developers coming on board, hopefully for the better. But the Godot you'll see in the years to come will, I believe, be hyper competitive and absolutely every bit as powerful as at least Unity. And, you never know what the future holds for it. I really love working with it. Download some tutorials, spend a few weeks with it. It might be right for you. It might not be. There are lots of other options as well. You've got Game Maker, you've got Bevy, you've got Open 3D Game Engine, you've got RPG Maker just for RPG tools. There's Phaser for JavaScript and that kind of stuff. You have every option at your disposal. It's much better than when Flash crashed and we literally had HTML5. That was it, especially if you were making web games. But yeah, I'm really encouraged with what I've seen so far. And if you're thinking about trying out Godot, just muck around with it. I literally, when I got this book, Teach Yourself in 24 Hours, when Godot 3.0. So that was nearly 3 years ago. And I read this, over a couple of days. And I loved it. And a lot of people like learning from tutorials and videos and so on. I like learning from books because I'm ancient. But you'll find that it just might click for you. And I think that's something fantastic. So for those who've come across and are kind of wondering what to do, tons of great YouTube tutorials and tons of cool things you can do, and you will discover. And I'm only using just a fraction of what is possible in Godot. Honestly, this works for me. Before I go, a quick shout out to my awesome Patreons: Cavity Number 1, Neighbor Jack, Dane Simoneau, Daniel Funches, Brandon K, Piputch, Noah Gudajan, XUp Omega, Jeffro of X3D, and Hopeless. Thank you guys for being with me all this time. I thank you, and the Armorer thanks you. If you would like to be a patron, that would make my day. I bet it would. Greedy Armorer, get back to the forge. Anyway, thank you for being here for this long video, this rambling video. You know my style. I don't really edit. I really should edit. If I edited things, I'd probably be way more popular. But, I'm a game developer. I'm a YouTuber second. This is not something I focus on. It's just something I like to use to talk to fans of Sword and Sandals and other game devs. So I find it a really kind of just a cool medium for that. But you're never going to see super professionalism from me, and maybe hopefully that's refreshing. But if you are new to the channel and you want to subscribe, you certainly can, and I welcome you. And until next time, my friends, let me know in the comments what you think of your experiences so far in Godot, the good, the bad, the ugly, and what can I learn? Please tell me. And I'll show you some more Gorgon Shield stuff in the next few days as well. If you like the game, I really would appreciate a wish list, because I've got very few wish lists. And having come from Swords and Sandals, where I had a lot of popularity, starting from scratch is very hard. So I have solidarity with all you guys there, starting from nothing. I've got like 300 wish lists, honestly. I need help. Until next time, my friends, bye for now.